Agriculture is by far still the largest contributor to our state's economic input.
When you go to the Georgia Department of Ag and you look up the hemp program, it says one of the first things they list is that they want hemp to be one of the leading agricultural industries in the state of Georgia. This bill in no way, shape, or form supports that.
The latest report from the UGA College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences found food and fiber production contributed $83.6 billion to our economy, supporting over 320,000 jobs across the state.
Farmers who have been doing it right since the beginning, and now we're getting penalized for that.
Entire counties across Georgia depend on this industry for their livelihoods.
I was seeing a decline in my father's health, so let me move to South Carolina. So in June, I sold 10 acres of land. We were going to open up a business. 6 months later, I lost him, and I didn't know what to do as, someone who's still grieving from losing their best friend. In honor of my father, I opened up a hemp store. I've just been making a killing, and every time I turn a dollar, I know he would love to be there with me. And now, I've done this for a year. I've come out of that negative hole that I was in to a positive stance. I'm paying my taxes. I have 5 kids. I'm big in the community. I do support other fundraisers, other boys and girls clubs. I give back to the community that gives to me. Beautiful. And now it's just taken away.
And that's why we need to make sure that our farming families can thrive.
I really want to shed light on how this plant is grown, and the fact that the way this bill, Senate Bill 494, the way it's set up, sets Georgia farmers up for failure from the beginning, even if you're growing and abiding by the rules and regulations.
Few professions face as many challenges as our farmers do, which is why we've taken the steps to help lessen that burden.
Now we harvest, we hang our plants to dry in a temperature facility. We dry and cure, and then we full panel test our own plants. At that time, and again, I have all this printed out, you're welcome to look at it. At that time, we are now under the new State Bill 494, as compliant farmers, we are now not able to sell any of our flour or products in the state of Georgia. And that's because they have lumped the THCA and the THC Delta 9 together.
And in this year's budget, we increased funding to our Department of Agriculture's Consumer Protection Division.
This isn't alcohol. Never will anyone smoke a joint and think, oh, let me go beat the shit out of the governor. But alcohol will lead someone to that. And yet, y'all have more regulations on something that you have no idea about than you do on alcohol, or even guns for a matter. I'm tired of seeing people walking in my store with a gun, and there's nothing I can do about it because they can legally carry it.
I'll sign Senate Bill 494, sponsored by Senator Sam Watson and carried in the House by Representative John Corbett. They're both here today. This bill makes changes to the framework for hemp regulation in Georgia to allow GDA a greater oversight role, ensuring products are safe for our consumers. So many of our leaders have worked hard to make this possible. Thank you all for your commitment to ensuring our laws keep up with this fast-evolving industry.
We use violence to get peace and wonder why it isn't working. That's like sleeping with a football team to try and be a virgin. Politicians are for sale and someone always makes the purchase, but you and I cannot afford it. Our democracy is worthless.
I need dates. It's not clear.
It says July 1st or October 1st.
It's not clear.
Or what's the difference between
We need a
the two?
special session.
This armed agent came into my store and said, July 1st, there's going to be a coordinated effort to make sure everybody's in compliance.
In 2020, farmers in Georgia, soybean, corn, all the cotton, all the major crops had just gone through a devastating loss after some floods and some droughts. And processors in the state of Georgia held meetings, and they invited all the farmers. And we went to these meetings, and farmers were kind of promised some gold, that this was a much easier plant to grow, it was more drought resistant, big money. And what happened was there was a big surplus and nobody was able to sell anything. Somebody asked about the amount of licenses that are held in the state of Georgia. Ben says there's 319. What's interesting is that of those licenses that are held At least a year ago, a good portion of those weren't to continue to grow. They were to be able to hold on to what they had already grown because they